So now we move on from heavy metal to the waltz.
What a shift.
I know, right?
What a twist.
Yes. So we're now moving on to episode 8, Waltz for Venus. So, yeah, the Waltz for Venus, this episode actually ties into Spike's martial arts philosophy.
Oh.
Because Spike, this entire time, you know, he's been a badass, but you actually see where he gets his philosophy from and how he applies it to how he pretty much lives his life. And it's interesting diving into that, and it's also interesting seeing just also the colonization of other planets, because Venus, being what we know now, is pretty much a hot, toxic tie-dye of acid rain.
Yeah.
It's pretty much is what we know it now. How would we go about colonizing it? Would we be able to colonize it? And because in this we've already colonized Mars, several of the asteroids, several of the moons surrounding the various other planets. I mean, but Venus, a planet closer to the sun than our own, very similar in size to the Earth, but not a very nice environment for
Yeah.
Don't you get to go to Venus on Destiny as well?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yes, which
I always remember thinking that was slightly weird that you could actually be on the surface of Venus without dying.
well, there's actually a mod in Minecraft called Galacticraft where you can actually go to the other planets, and you actually have to do different things in order to survive on the planet long enough to like set up a home base, start to terraform, and all that. It's actually interesting, and I'd like to do a playthrough on that, because Venus like has acid rain and all that, and then Mercury is just super ridiculously hot. Venus actually has pools of acid that you can actually bring back to Earth and put around your home base. So every time like a zombie tries to get to you, you're just like, come on over here. You just got to swim across the acid pool. Come on. And it's like, it's like just seeing a zombie.
Bad time.
Yeah, seeing a zombie just like die and melt in the friggin' acid pit. Just like, yes. Yeah. So no more BS. But anyway, we are going to be watching this episode. Let's get it up on screen.
Episode
we've
8.
been ending the episodes the proper way, but we haven't been starting them the proper way. Okay, 3, 2. I can't do that.
3, 2, 1. Let's jam. Sorry.
Yeah, that is an ugly planet there.
Yeah.
Looks like baby poop.
It looks like God passed a kidney stone.
They got something planned.
I got a bald head.
Yeah, I got a bald head.
See, there's bald, and then there's that guy. Jesus.
That was sick. So was that like a portal?
Yeah, that's the Stargate. That's how you go in and out of
Hyperspace
hyperspace.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody quiet down. Both hands behind your head, all of you.
I'll give you money. Take the others, but let me go, please. Hurry, or you'll get
Nice
sick.
toupee.
You, over there. Hey! Are you listening to me? You, get up!
Yeah.
All right, put your
You
hands
picked the
behind your
wrong
head
one.
like everyone else. Hey, look at me.
Sorry about that.
Don't move.
Huh? Think again,
Night,
my
night.
precious bounty heads.
They even fight terrorism. It's insane.
Right?
As long as there's bounty on them.
All right, then. Could you do this for me? In the middle of the desert, I'm afraid that's our best price. You know, your best price sucks, but there's nothing I can do.
Huey, Dewey, and seriously.
Thanks for the payoff.
Hi.
What do you want?
My share.
Right here?
Why not? I need it now.
1/3. All right. She's a gambler. What can?
I really hate dealing with pickpockets.
Amazing. You really are amazing. Can you teach a guy like me how to make all those cool moves? Like judo and kung fu?
Went a little Richard there, didn't he?
I beg you, master. Wait a second.
No smoking.
Gotta dig the persistence.
It's not like it really cost you anything.
Give it up already.
Venus has a lot of helium in the atmosphere. You can fix it with these little popper pills. Those were just regular throat drops.
We're pushing it.
Oh, hands-on training. The name is Rocco Bonanno. It's an honor, master.
You have to be like water. You see what I'm saying?
Bruce
Not
Lee.
even a little bit.
That's what I thought.
Why did the audio change so much?
Cause
Get
distance.
hurt?
Just do it. You apply excessive force. I control that force through fluid motion. That means relaxing the whole body so it can react instantly without resistance. Without thought. Do you see now?
Maybe I get it, but
Be
then
like
again,
water,
maybe
my
not.
friend.
Bruce Lee.
Yep.
So he's like Jeet Kune Do.
Jeet Kune Do. Yep.
Jeet Kune Do.
Yep. The art of the intercepting fist.
Hang on to this. Meet me tonight.
Picaro Calvini. Usually a nickel and dime guy, but by some miracle he pulled off a big hit this time. These plants are used to make the meds that cure venous sickness. They're very hard to grow, worth tens of millions each.
Not bad, yeah.
I say we keep it, definitely. It's
Of
worth a
course
lot
you
more
say
than
that,
hooks.
Faye.
Their rewards are chump change.
No.
Lady Bounty is very fickle,
It's lady luck, FYI.
Eh.
Ladies. I
Ladies
think,
are fickle.
I think
period.
he gets them mixed up.
So it seems like they had to float land masses in the air to get stuff to
Right.
grow on them, possibly.
Yeah, I think maybe the
Not sure what the science behind
environment's
that
too
would be, but-
toxic.
Like the gels of Morrowind
Yeah.
floating in the sky.
Yeah. Well.
Hold it right there.
Uh-oh. Damn.
Damn.
What are you doing here? Spit it out. Let go.
I'm sorry. I just came here to see Rocco.
Oh shit.
Make sure you wash both hands, sport.
Boss, we can't find him anywhere.
Mind if I finish?
Because of those
That's what I'd say. I'd be like, mind if I finish?
I lost sight completely in both eyes.
Must be very hard for you.
It's surprising how you adapt. And also, in a way, you understand more when you can't see.
Will you get better?
If we spend a lot of money. I know he hangs out with some bad people too, but Rocco has a good heart.
I could be one of those bad people he hangs around with.
If you are, you're very different. I can feel these things.
Something beautiful, huh? I'm afraid that I lost that a long time ago.
This shit just got real.
Easy there, Martin Lawrence.
Picaro? Wow, I never heard of the guy, sweetheart.
Nuh-uh.
Have you heard of him?
Damn.
Well, as a matter of fact,
Find Picaro yet?
We will. Just don't screw up your end.
You know, I heard you have a younger sister somewhere. Is that true?
She's got nothing to do with this.
And she won't if you tell us where you put the plant.
Ow. Jeez.
What? What'd you say?
She's going savage on this episode, dude.
She's a savage woman, dude.
She got G-string suspenders on like fucking Borat.
Yeah, that's what I kept thinking the whole time.
Oh my. So you found the old place, huh?
And I brought it like you said. Sorry, took a peek inside. 10 times the bounty on you and all of your buddies combined. Stella needs this. That's the whole point, isn't it?
Get out of here quick or they're gonna kill you! He brought the plant, that's what you wanted? Now let him go, please! I'm asking you!
Get him! Take him out and do it quick!
Hey, easy.
She just don't give a fuck, dude.
She'll bring the whole house down if she has to.
Easy, babe. There's no reward if they're all dead.
Be like water. Hey!
Oh.
God.
And there goes the plant.
And fuck you.
Really?
Break. Nope. No commercial break.
This fucking Rocksteady Bebop looking motherfucker over here.
Hang in there. You hear me?
Which one was it?
I think it was Bebop.
Master.
Bebop was the pig and Rocksteady was the
Son of a bitch.
In the music box at Stella's.
Leave it to me. Stella's gonna be all right, Rocco.
Thanks.
Okay, hang on. Now don't die. Don't die.
Not the lockable young goof.
You have to tell me more about that later.
Yeah.
Well, you have to have something to keep the lung inflated to keep it from collapsing.
Yeah.
Is that you?
It's me instead.
Hey, you know what Rocco did? Huh? He got me some gray ash from the seedlings. So tell him to come and visit me right now. Tell him I can't wait. Oh, Spike. Is he in jail?
No.
Then why hasn't he come to see me? He's dead, isn't he? I see. He must have died because he was doing something that was wrong, I'm sure. It's better if you leave for today. Hey, what was he really like?
You know better than anyone, without looking. He was a terrific guy. Exactly the person you thought he was.
Wow. Just got CT Fletcher heavy.
Yeah, man. Oh, and there they are. The gray ash spores.
I like that toy box kind of sound that it had there.
Yeah.
Referencing back to that. That was cool.
Yeah, that's...
Always like the little music
there's
box
one,
themes
yeah,
and stuff.
There's one thing you're going to learn about some of the music in this. Some of the best of it originates from a music box. Like, you're going to hear some themes throughout this show that start with a music box but later develop into these massively, like, beautiful serenades that are just going to stick with you for the rest of your life. Just like... I still listen to the soundtrack of this even after it's been almost 20 years.
Yeah.
Because just this how big the music had an impact on me.
It's all been
This
good.
is my favorite episode.
This has been your favorite episode?
Yeah. It had the whole airplane hijacking scene in the first, which is most of my favorite 80s movies start with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So that happens, and then you've got that goofy, lovable, you know, kid that's got himself into trouble.
Yeah.
You see a softer side of Spike. He's still badass. They reference Bruce Lee a lot. I love it. This is my favorite episode.
Yeah, and then of course you have the ending, which bittersweet.
It's not as epic.
No,
it's not as epic. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's saying it's not very epic, and then there's like a hijack scene in the beginning of it, but there's been so much crazy shit going on in this show that's not near, you know. I don't know. And then you've got like a lot of really deep character stuff going on with the brother and sister and him trying to take care of her. And then it seemed almost as if the whole bounty part of it kind of played second fiddle to the whole situation.
Well, yeah.
It's a lot different than any of the others.
Well, for the non-important bounties, you won't really get to know them.
Mm-hmm.
But for the ones that pop up and you actually dig deeper into, that's when the bounty does become the background thought. Because you knew that there was a bounty on the gang that Rocco was part of, but by the time you got to the climax there at the end, you didn't care.
Yeah,
because Faye was chasing the bounty, whereas Spike was chasing to try and help Rocco.
And it shows that he does care about more than the money. The money was not even really a thing. There was even a bounty on the dude he was trying to help. Roku, was that his name?
Yeah,
Rocco. And that was like not even, he didn't really mention it. He never even cared.
No, because to him, the gray ash, and I think Spike goes by motive instead of by bounty. At least whenever he gets to know the guy, because if you notice, Spike knew the guy before he knew there was even a bounty on him. And I think from that, his first impression, because whenever a bounty hunter's first impression of a guy is a picture with a number displayed for how much you can get for this person, you sort of build a detachment to that, and you don't want to build an attachment. But there was already an attachment built by the time Spike saw the picture.
Well, he knew the plant was worth
tens
a
of millions.
buttload of money too. So
yeah.
Just a really interesting episode. I liked it a lot.
Oh yeah, and
at the same time, he wasn't planning to just take that plant and sell it.
Right.
No.
What it was for.
Spike still has a moral center and has a good heart.
Yeah.
Well, this was definitely proof of that, because they were showing him a lot of the episodes just being like, I'm not going to back down from the fight, no matter if it's my death or whatever. He's kind of like got a lot of reckless abandon about him,
Flies
to
by
where
the seat of his pants
you can see that he cares more about certain other characters than he does himself. Really, he doesn't really have much self-respect. He's kind of self-loathing, it seems like.
And you come to understand a little bit more about him as the show goes on, and you see why he has these people call these character flaws. I just call them part of their character, because you can see it as a flaw, in which, what are flaws if not the more interesting parts of the character? Because, for instance, I mean, some of my favorite characters have not been the best people. It's like Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men. He's a psychopath, and he kills so many people, and he has no remorse, and he feels like he has to be that way.
But he's metal as fuck somehow.
Yeah.
Well, and plus, it also helps that Javier Bardem is such an intimidating presence whenever he's on the screen. And that bad intentions are inbound whenever he's coming in. And I love his character, because his character has, he's supposed to be this perfect killing machine, but he has a flaw, a big one, the coin flip. Every time he is having a quandary in his head whether he should do this or not, call it.
Which makes him interesting.
Yes.
It makes it attractive. So, isn't there a word in Japanese? Isn't there a phrase or a word that is like, flaws are beautiful, or the beauty in the imperfect?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's actually a.
Have you ever heard of that?
Of certain,
possibly, but
I know in certain storytelling seminars
I think it's like a word.
They've said that
they have a Japanese word that
if
it's
you
a
all know
different
what that
type
word
of
is.
beauty.
That's
It's
why
like,
when I first saw what D&D was like when you make your character, I thought it was really cool that they have the option to have flaws on the characters.
Yes.
And I was like, yeah, that's a really good idea. That gives people more motivation behind their character and stuff.
It's a layer to the character, for sure.
And whenever I write a character, whenever I write a character, just going into finer detail with character work, I often look at a flaw that doesn't just make them human. It provides interest to why they should be followed. Because, you know, I could tell you a story about a human being, and you think, okay, that was pretty cool. But if I tell you the story and the flaw, and how the flaw determines how this person acts, and how this person goes through everything, how this person interacts with people because of this flaw. It's like me having this, my the shrunk esophagus. Me having that's a flaw, and it makes first dates awkward.
It's a challenge.
It is. It's a challenge to overcome.
Right.
And every character, I believe, has to have that. That's why I find Mary Sue's so boring. It's why I find Rey from the new Star Wars trilogy boring. That's why I find Superman boring. That's why, and they don't address it whenever it happens, because it's supposed to just be, the hero always persevering. Whereas whenever you look at someone like Saitama from One Punch Man, it's comedic because because how he approaches everything, he has no challenge in it, and it's pretty much him being bored with being a Mary Sue, and that's such a great concept. Whereas Superman, he's always just like, I must fight for truth, justice, and the way of good. And I'm just like, Soups, I can respect everything you're wanting to do, but in terms of storytelling, you are boring. I'm sorry.
And what made Superman...
the only flaw he even has is like
a glowing rock from his home planet and magic.
But
you
got to understand. You got to understand also the minds of the people that were captivated by Superman first were people who were in such a situation in real life. Well, they needed that.
Well, like Siegel and Schuster, I mean, same thing with them, because they were always bullied when they were kids.
Yeah.
They never had anyone stand up for them or anything like that, and they both pretty much came up with the same idea. Hey,
so Superman works in a culture and in a society where the people are so jacked up by real life that the thought of something so powerful and awesome that could happen in their life is attractive.
Yes.
To even fantasize about. Exactly. It's a power fantasy. And just, I guess, for people like in our generation, people who've grown up in America and in the country that we have, a lot of times can't appreciate that kind of fantastical, unstoppable force of good, because we've had...
Well, I think we've been disillusioned. We've grown disillusioned by it because... I'm going to be honest, reality sucks. And we've had mentally, our generation has been assaulted on by so many different things, because, familial problems, like you and me, Chad, we're both from partially broken families. I mean, I don't know your whole situation.
Pretty much.
And it's unfortunate, and it's pretty much become the norm for a lot of kids growing up in the States to either never know their one of their parents, or know both of their parents but know them separately and not together. I knew my parents for the first 12, 13 years of my life where they were together, and ever since then I've known them apart, and that's been sort of a split in my head. Like, whenever I'm around my dad, I have to be this way. And whenever I'm around my mom, I have to be this way. And it mentally, it's a little bit exhausting, because, I just think to myself, oh, I can't say this around dad, or I can't say that around mom, because if I do, then it'll be a whole thing. And then next thing you know, we'll argue and all that and blah, blah, blah. And I think we as a society have grown disillusioned by the whole power fantasy of a Mary Sue. We instead want a character that has flaws and can overcome those flaws, because we as a society are, as a whole, flawed. We all, we all have flaws in our own way. Like, we've all been bullied. In our own way, we've been bullied. We've been
it's the hierarchy
rejected,
of needs kind of situation. Like, where the big complications in our lives you got to dig for them. Where back in like the 30s or the 40s situations when Superman came out and was mega popular, it's like, I have to eat. I have to battle these simple battles that are overwhelming. Yeah, so you need a very simple character that is very strong to battle these very simple issues that are very powerful. Like not being able to eat, you know, sickness that is absolutely incurable that now is nothing to us.
Yeah, like polio.
Well, I mean,
because I remember my great grandfather actually talking to me about polio and how horrible it was.
Right.
And and him having to go through, seeing, not being able to go to school with certain kids because of because they had polio, and those people were changed forever. They had like permanent limps, and they weren't able to function properly. They weren't able to work on the farm any. And that around here back in those days was everything.
Right.
You had to work on the farm or else your family didn't eat.
Right.
And my great grandfather, when he told me that, it gave me a scope of realizing just how fortunate my generation is to have the amenities that we have. But as the amenities have gotten easier and we have gotten an abundance of everything, the cracks in society start to show, because, especially psychologically, because as our population has gone up, the amount of apathy has gone nowhere but up as well.
Right.
It's like everything around us has grown so apathetic. It's like, no child left behind, and now it's just like, pass if you can.
Yeah. The themes of poverty and sickness were really interesting in this as well. Yeah. They were showing that off. You got this gutter rat trying to save his sister because she's got medical issues and stuff.
Like, there's a cure for what I have, but we can't afford it.
Exactly. That's something a lot of people can definitely relate to in this episode. I thought that was really interesting that they were kind of highlighting that as well.
Well, it's just like right here. I can't afford to get this fixed right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully one day I'll be able to pay for the procedure, but it'll take time.
Yeah.
And I've just got to deal with it for now. But, yeah, there's a lot to... You see, this is what this show does, man. It just digs into the human psyche and just makes all this come out.
There's
and
a
I
lot
love
to
stuff
unpack
like this.
and talk about with it. So.
Yes,
there is.
I love that, and I love that.
Just feel bad for laughing a little bit because when you're talking about polio, I'm sure somebody probably not noticed that I laughed a little bit.
I know why. I know exactly.
I'm glad. There was a really good movie. What was it called?
It's FDR versus
American Badass.
I remember that. I remember that.
I can imagine that lady going, "You little polio legs," and like every time you were saying that, I was like, "Oh God." God, don't laugh.
I've met the guy who played FDR in that.
Really?
Yeah, Brian Bosworth. I met him, and he's actually a very nice guy.
I fucking love that movie so much.
The Boz?
Yeah.
I still need to watch that.
Or not Brian Bosworth. Brian Bosworth.
Yeah.
It wasn't that the guy that got trucked by Bo Jackson that used to be the man? Brian Bosworth? That had the mullet?
Hold on.
I remember you showed me like a scene or two from it. It looked pretty good.
You are dead,
there it is.
sir.
Okay. What's his name? Come on. Barry Bostwick.
There you go.
BB. Sorry, I got those two confused.
I couldn't remember his name.
But
I
Barry
just trusted
Bostwick,
you.
I met him, and nice guy.
I'm sure.
Nice guy. A little spacey, but nice.
I could see that.
Well, he was there,
Kevin
and also
Spacey.
Stop it. But also there was he was there along with another cast member from Rocky Horror Picture Show, and I remembered she was English, and I remember I was walking up to the concession stand, and all of a sudden I hear down from me, I hear yes, I would like 2 hot dogs, one with mustard, and I look over, and it's her, and I'm just like, holy shit.
She eats hot dogs.
And no. I was just like standing there. I was just like, I couldn't believe she was standing beside me. I was just like, hey, cool. But then I thought in my head, let's do the time warp again. Like singing that in my head. And I was like, no, I'm not going to sing that out loud. She'll probably look over at me and just be like, no.
Please don't.
And just walk away. Because she's probably heard that song so many damn times throughout her life.
That's the thing I worry about when I meet like people that are famous is like, I don't want to say something to them that's just like, the same fucking thing they've heard 10 billion times, but I can't think of what else to say besides like, dude, I love what you do. Like, it's weird.
Well,
it's like when I met Steve Bloom, like I was just like, yeah, man, I love you and Cowboy Bebop. And I'm sure he's heard that 10,000 times. I couldn't think of anything good to like.
Honestly, if I could ask him one question, I would ask him throughout the years of all the characters that you played, from gravelly voiced bad guy to brooding and stoic good guy. Which one do you find more difficult to portray? That's pretty much what I'd ask him.
What I ended up talking to him about was I was like, yeah, man, I just recently played Metal Gear Solid. What's the not Portable Ops, but the other one that was on the Portable?
Acid? No,
not Acid. It's like actually a full Metal Gear Solid game that's not a spin-off. I can't remember what it's called.
Damn it.
Shit, because I never actually finished that one. It's the only one I haven't really finished besides the spin-offs. But he was in that, and I noticed it was cool because David Hayter with Steve Bloom, and I was like, yeah, man, it was really cool hearing you with David Hayter because you two are like two of my favorite voice actors. And he was like, oh yeah, I just actually got to hear my stuff from that recently, and I was like, what? And he's like, you don't really get to hear a lot of the stuff you record.
No,
and I was like, oh, I never thought about that.
No, you don't.
He's like, yeah, dude, we do so much that some of it I've still not heard, you know. And I was like, that makes sense.
Well, for the longest time, I got to hear something the other day that actually made me just go, wow. It was, you know, Shrek, right? Everyone knows Shrek. You know who was originally slated to play Shrek?
Chris Farley.
Yes, I got to hear Chris Farley's tapes.
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Yeah, and it was awesome here because he was just and hearing him almost more than 20 years after
he would have
died,
killed it.
He would have. It was awesome.
Killed it.
But
Mike Myers, good for you, man. You got another big fat paycheck off somebody else's work. It wasn't Dana Carvey this time.
Oh,
damn.
Oh, bro.
It's a fact, dude.
You're
Fuck
killing
him.
me.
He wanted Garth out of Wayne's World. He can suck my dick.
I agree. That's bullshit.
Sorry, but that gets me heated, man. I'm glad that guy doesn't have a career anymore.
Well, he wrote himself into a corner by doing the same shtick over.
And also, nobody wanted to work with him.
And over again. Yeah, well, actually, Doug had a really good point about him on the Cat in the Hat review. His shtick is his character says something that's unfunny. The other people around him realize it isn't funny. Then he realizes it, and by that, it's funny. And by the time we got to Cat in the Hat, it just got to where it was just like, this is awkward, and I don't like it anymore. and that's why he failed.
Most of the funniest moments in Austin Powers are not Austin Powers.
Well,
the other characters.
Some of his facial reactions are actually really funny.
Sometimes.
I mean, some of his Dr. Evil stuff is absolutely hilarious.
And he breaks the fourth wall.
Like,
that bastard.
Dr. Evil is definitely the better character of the two.
Yes.
Normally, like all the favorite moments I can think of are not the Austin Powers character.
It's Dr. Evil, Fat Bastard, or Goldmember.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because I remember the Dr. Evil scene in the second one, The Spy Who Shagged Me. He's got the little thing where he's got to turn the speaker on. He's like, ow, you shot me, you a-hole. Yeah. And then he forgets to turn it on when talking to Frau. He's like, Good work.
He was literally just like a knockoff of other members of Saturday Night Live.
He was.
Like, he wanted to...
He
wanted to be every character in his movies like Eddie Murphy, and he wanted to do impressions like Dana Carvey. And just never could.
He wanted to, in some cases, be the goofball like Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
And yeah. Don't get me wrong. I mean, congrats, Mike Myers. You made enough money to retire on, and you'll go down in history as one of the best animated characters of all time. But
finding out you're an asshole ruins Wayne's World for me. And Wayne's World, that's one of my favorite series of movies. Fuck you. I'm going to be like the chicken fry guy on Mike Myers. I
used to love you, man.
I'm done.
I'm done
ranting.
All right. So this was a good episode. Brought out a lot in us. And this was once again, Cowboy Bebop, man. Even after like my fourth time watching this is still awesome. Watching this all the way through.
Great show.
Oh, yeah. And I'm glad you all are enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad I didn't watch it until now.
For real.
It worked out, so I can appreciate it.
Hey, that's good. So I guess until next time, everyone, that's going to do it. This was Waltz for Venus by, Cowboy Bebop, Season 1, Episode 8. And we hope that you all will continue to join us for these episodes. And until next time, signing off, I'm Nate.
Andrew.
Chad.
I'm Nick.
And we will see you all in the next one. Peace out.
See you, Space Cowboy.